Hello and welcome to the Miss Rolling In podcast. As usual, my name is Jacob Staten, and as usual, I'm joined by JJ Armstrong. JJ, how are you?
Top of the world after what has been an incredible few days. As a Nottingham Forest fan, how are you, Jacob?
I am flying, mate. Flying. And in addition to flying, because we're Nottingham Forest fans and what happened at the weekend, we're all over 900 subscribers now, aren't we, JJ?
We are. Thank you. We put out a call to arms in the last episode. You listened. We're over 900. We're on the road to 1,000 now. So if you still haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And for the audio followers, head over to YouTube and click subscribe. But thank you very much for listening regardless.
Thank you very much. So, Chelsea away, Stamford Bridge, 3:00 Saturday. It would look like a lovely day. You know, our fans are going down in thousands. The match starts. Obviously, I just clocked your first note here. Is actually pre-match. Cooper lying again in pre-match. He said Danilo and Mangala were out for a while, but they're both in the starting 11. So, I think you take anything Steve Cooper says about player fitness in pre-match conferences with a pinch of salt nowadays.
Yeah, although it sets a precedent when he does. It's a bit like the boy who cried wolf when he says, you know, someone's broken the leg, they're out for 6 months, and then it gets to the Saturday and they are actually out for 6 months because you think, well, they were going to start. But I just love his little games that he plays. I don't know why more managers don't do it. Makes it hard to predict who he's going to have in the starting lineup. Because I remember that time when Joe Worrell broke his ribs and he was never going to play again, and then he was there on Saturday. So, you know, love it. I do love it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't blame him. I think I'd be exactly the same. I think I'd, you know what journalists are like. There are some good ones, but you know, mostly they're irrelevant of what you tell them and how friendly you think they are. They're out to get a story about you, aren't you? I think I'd just lie to them point blank all the time, if I'm being honest.
Fair. Well, he's very good at it. Very good at it.
So, the game kicks off. It's very similar to much more similar to the Arsenal game, where we kind of keep them at arm's length. And I think we covered it off about the Arsenal game before, where I think both their goals were, the first goal was complete luck, takes a deflection. The second goal was an absolute rocket. So we're a bit unfortunate there, but we keep them at arm's length. We counter attack really well. We actually create the best chances of the first half. There's the one where the kind of the head back into the box from McKenna, where Taiwo holds off Thiago Silva, almost kind of like a acrobatic bicycle type kick, which was really unlucky not to go in. There's a few more chances like that, but yeah, apart from the fact it was 0-0, I think it was a fantastic first half, JJ.
Yeah, brilliant first half. I think we were resolute in our defending. It was very nice to see. I think some of the criticisms that I've thrown towards this team so far this season has been the defence, and has been the fact that they've sort of struggled to remain calm, or that we've pressed at the wrong time or something like that. But we felt very patient. We defended well. We blocked well. No silly mistakes. Kept them at arm's length. We let them have the ball, and you know what? That's fine. If they're not going to do anything with it, not a problem. And I think it was a perfect first half performance. Well, maybe not perfect. Obviously, there's going to be some sloppy moments, but like you say, we had the better of the chances of the first half. 2 from Taiwo. You mentioned this sort of swipe at it that maybe, if you had to be critical, maybe Worrell put him off. Or maybe you could just say he should have done better for that one. But that was a good chance. And it was also Taiwo again, where he turned his man near the post. And it unfortunately went wide. But that was also a very good chance. But shows what a threat he is. I think they struggled to deal with him physically, which they did last season as well. So he is a handful. I think our patient defending resulted in them taking quite a lot of shots outside the box, which, you know, if you're away at Stamford Bridge and you're seeing a frustrated Chelsea, you know you're doing something well. So definitely went into halftime happy. I thought it was a great performance, and I tweeted something to this effect, but essentially saying that if we play our cards right here, you know, they are there for the taking on the counter. So at half time, I did think that the chances were certainly in our favour.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you called it as well. I know obviously he got introduced much earlier than we wanted him to. He replaced Mangala, didn't he, ELANGA?
No, he replaced Danilo, who went down injured.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Danilo, yeah. And you called it, you said kind of 60 minutes, get ELANGA on stretcher. I think it was clearly it was, but when I saw ELANGA coming on for Danilo, I thought it was a really nicely positive move by Cooper, where he's gone, we have an opportunity here. And obviously, normally he's not going to take Paul Danilo off in the kind of 37th minute or whatever it was for ELANGA, because you just wouldn't do it. But that seizing that opportunity to change the direction of the game so early was lovely to see. And obviously, we come out in the second half, and it's a wonderful piece of pressure by Ryan Yates and I think Morgan Gibbs-White on Moises Caicedo. Rolls it into Taiwo, a lovely pass through the legs of Thiago Silva, and Anthony ELANGA looking like prime Thierry Henry, touching side foot finish into the back of the net. It's it was a wonderful goal, really, really, really wonderful goal, and just nice to see that we can play that kind of football, even when playing kind of by and large defensively.
Yes, I think it was Yates and Mangala, but who knows? We'll have to watch it back. Either way, I don't think it was even particularly great press in the offset for them to get the opportunity to press. I think Caicedo was just a bit shit, but well capitalised by both of them. I think it was Yates who eventually got the touch to knock it to Taiwo. I often get worried when I see Taiwo running with the ball because you never quite know if he's going to trip on it, go the wrong way, do a shocker of a pass, or pull off something sublime. And in this instance, he did something wonderful, which I didn't even notice until watching Match of the Day replay, but he nutmegged Thiago Silva, one of the best defenders in the Premier League. Nutmegged him, which was beautiful. And the composure from ELANGA, he didn't go for power. He slotted it in beautifully into the bottom corner. So it's a brilliant goal. We talk about the famous saying in football, have we scored too early, which I definitely felt last week against Man United when we scored 2 in 4 minutes. And I think, again, this is something we need to try and get out of with the mindset of being a Forest fan, but scoring at that time against Chelsea, you sort of just think, right, now what? But thankfully, we stuck with it. We remained calm. I've seen many a Forest team in this situation panic for some reason and sort of bottle it almost. But the defence were absolutely on it that day. And Worrell and Bolly, we'll talk about Worrell and Yates later on, but Worrell and Bolly in the defence were brilliant. Some of the blocks they made were fantastic. And you know what? I'm going to say McKenna as well. I gave him some criticism for his start to the season, but I thought he had a great game as well. So we didn't panic, which was fantastic for the nerves.
Yeah, I mean, I think a really good point about McKenna. I mean, the back three, which is what I think most people have had nightmares about it being the same one, were fantastic. But I think Joe Worrell, he's a well documented personal issues. So just an amazing performance given that. Willy Bolly showed the good side of the coin that he is that good. We do get glimpses of that. But Scott McKenna, he handled in particular for me Raheem Sterling when he kind of came inside Olaina.
He did what?
He cut inside Olaina, and Scott McKenna was left 1v1 with Sterling quite often, particularly in the first half, and he just handled it really well when you consider how good Sterling is and how fast he is.
Yeah,
it was really nice to see that kind of performance out of him.
I'd just like to add to that. Sorry, while you mentioned Sterling, is Olaina, I thought had a great game. He actually put on his social media that it wasn't his best game, which I don't understand. I thought he was brilliant.
I didn't get that, no.
I thought he was brilliant. And so far this season, he's had to deal with Bukayo Saka, which is a difficult task for any defender, and Raheem Sterling, We all know his quality. So I thought he has been brilliant so far this season. He looks like a really good signing. Obviously, Tavares is coming in, potential competition for his place there, even though Aina is naturally a right back. But I thought he was brilliant, and I thought the combination of him and McKenna did a great job with Sterling. Sterling is a very good player. He still, got about and got behind now and then and did create the odd slight chance.
Luton last Friday.
Yeah, I mean, Sterling does look very good, but we dealt with him well. He wasn't able to punish us. So, yeah, very good job from the defence.
Yep. And I suppose for the second half, that was kind of it, really, wasn't it? There wasn't. There was the chance that Chelsea had where Joe Worrell puts a great block on a Raheem Sterling pass, and somehow it bobbles up even better than the pass would have been. And Nick Jackson puts it over the bar. Elanga had a great effort where he's gone down the left wing. He's held the ball up and then gone back towards goal. He's destroyed Mudryk and hit the post. It was great effort and determination. He should have squared it, in my opinion, but naming lights kind of situation.
Do not blame him at all. Do not blame him at all for not scoring that. Obviously, 2-0 sort of seals it at that point, but the fact he's got that drive and tenacity to go at them at that time of the game, get forced back to the corner, and yet still somehow pull off what he did and get a shot away and create a chance. Go for the shot, mate. Absolutely naming lights. We all would have done it.
No, we wouldn't, and that's why you never beat me at FIFA. You've added on here at the end. Special mention to Yates and Worrell. I'm Ryan Yates. I put this out on Twitter on Saturday evening. He has to play every game. I'm seeing all these mock lineups of what we'll do with all these new signings in the team, and I haven't seen any of them with Ryan Yates in it. Ryan Yates is the first name on that team sheet. And if anyone's listened to this podcast for a long time, knows that is a huge statement considering where we were when we first started this podcast. He's getting better, and he's only 25, and the sky's the absolute limit for him if he keeps this up, because one thing that I didn't... This is going to sound probably a bit harsh, but the one thing I didn't think he had was kind of footballing intelligence. But the way he robbed that ball off Casado, the way that he puts the pressure on the other team, and he understands his limitations around actually playing football and moves the ball on. He's just getting better and better.
Yeah, I absolutely love him. We were referred to as Yates back in the day. Not the case anymore, that's for sure. It is a shame to see these mock lineups with our new additions and nobody really, including Yates. Don't understand it. Personally, yes, we've got some talent in, which we'll talk about in the next section regarding the transfer window. But at the moment, it is Yates' place to lose. No one else just comes in and takes over him because of what a great job he's done so far this season. He's become a master of the dark arts. And in that, I mean, he's able to foul a player just enough that he doesn't get a yellow card, but then they either retaliate and get a yellow card themselves, or they say to the ref, that was a yellow card, and then they get booked. So he's mastered that element of the game. He's great at looking extremely innocent after, pushing a man over or something like that. He's very good at it. And he's great at buying a foul, actually. His little sort of forward dive that he does is expert. So another fantastic game from him. He helps us win midfield. There's another person incoming, which we'll talk about later, which will also help us win midfield. And whilst there's other people in midfield that have been brought in that can help us, the combination of those two is getting me extremely excited. It changes the way we play, I think. But again, we'll get to that. Worrell, you mentioned, personal issues over the last week or two. Special, very, very special from him to have all that going on and to put in that performance. Very, very special from the Forest fans to sing his name after the game, sort of proving how we feel about him and how we feel about our own. And very special from Steve Cooper to recognise his importance to the squad and his strength in still wanting to play for us despite that. It's a special player, special person to do that. Despite that, it's a special city in that the support are able to come together and support him like that. And we've got a very special manager that recognises both those elements and gets the best out of both of them, being the city and the player. So Yates and Worrell, absolutely superb. I think the whole team, to a man, was superb. But I think a special mention to both those. And, it got us a win, which is our second away win since we got promoted, which I knew we were bad on the road, but until I saw that stat, didn't think we were quite that bad. It's hard to remember. We only seemed to win one last season. So, yeah, huge performance.
Yeah, and if you add in that, if we can beat Burnley after the international break and we're on 9 points, it's just huge, isn't it? Absolutely huge.
Well, we spoke last week in a podcast and said if we can hit 6 points after these first 5 games, that's a really good return because you're not expected to get anything from Arsenal, Man U or Chelsea away. However, we've hit that point tally early. I did a little bit of research, and by research I mean I Googled it. Last season, we hit 6 points after 11 games. Now, the fact we've hit 6 points after 4 with a very difficult fixture list is obviously a huge improvement. And it looks like a huge improvement on paper, but when you take into account the improved performances against both Arsenal and Man U, the fact that we were frustrated we didn't come away with anything there. We've got a goal difference of 0, whereas obviously Arsenal, we lost 5-0 away last season. We'll talk about the people coming in, so our squad depth has got better, but there's a lot of reason to be positive right now. And I think if we get 6 points out of these 5 games, it's a brilliant return. If we get 9 points out of these 5 games, then I hope you got your Thursdays free next year. Yeah.
I think the kind of the key factor for me from this game, and it's not really about this game, but it proves that the Arsenal and Man United performances weren't flukes.
Yeah.
We are improved away. We are, going to be much harder to beat, and there's a clear path of progression there, and it's wonderful to see, and I just hope everybody recognises it, and and Steve Cooper gets the praise he deserves.
Yes, absolutely.
Right,
here we
Joshua,
go.
on to the transfer window. I think transfer deadline day, Nottingham Forest were clear winners. Transfer window as a whole, possibly not. I think I'd probably have to edge it to West Ham. I think the business they did with getting rid of Declan Rice and the players they brought in to fill that void is probably the best work. Maybe Villa as well, the Pau Torres, that kind of thing. Is it? I can't remember his first name, but Diaby, he seems really good as well. But yeah, transfer deadline day. The big outgoing, the big story was Brennan Johnson leaving. Personally, it's a sad moment that he's going, but the money we got and what it's allowed us to do kind of assuages that. I said to you, didn't I, JJ? Like if you're going to sell a top player, one of your top players, and he's a local lad and he's come through the team, you need to do a couple of things. One is you need to reinvest. 2 is you need to have a replacement. And I can't remember what the third one was. It's terrible. But basically, we ticked all the boxes.
Ticked all 3. Third one was a blank box, but we still ticked it.
We ticked it. Anyway, we got good money for him. Callum Hudson-Odoi was announced before he even left as the replacement. And then we reinvested it.
Yeah.
It's gone. It was, Sangare, all the players we signed on deadline day, the FFP was balanced by Johnson going. And I think everybody did really, really well. And it was nice to see that losing such a player, such a talisman, doesn't have to be the kind of the devastation that it could have been.
Yes, I can still see why there is some Forest fans that are devastated. He's a very, very special player. There will still be people out there that wish we didn't sell him or hope we didn't have to sell him. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is these days. FFP means you have to do this in order to catch up with the big boys in the league, which I'm not sure if that's entirely the right thing. I guess in some ways it keeps them in check, but also the fact that lower teams have to sell to keep up with them is a bit harsh. But alas, it's necessary. I think Brennan deserves the move. He was always going to leave. Yes, he could have been worth more in the future, but the team is stronger from him.
I think on the money bit, I think he's probably plateaued in valuation with us, if that makes sense. Like, there's only what more can he do for us to make him worthwhile? Whereas the Spurs, he can go there, he can play European football, he can, latter stages of cup competitions, higher up in the league, that kind of thing.
Yeah, he can lose a few cup finals and never win a trophy. Brilliant.
I'd say he's never going to win any, is he?
But it's the right time. It's the right time for him and the right club, I think. Big Ange seems like a really good manager and a good person, and I think he'll get the best out of Brennan. Previously, we've seen Spence go to Spurs, and we think, what on earth is he doing? He's wasting his career there. Going to a manager like Conte, who's just not bothered about him and isn't going to play him. I don't think that's the same circumstance now for Johnson. I think he will get played. I think he'll when you've got Maddison supplying the balls over the top and you're that quick and can get on the end of them, I think they'll be really deadly, and they've started the season well. So, right move for him, the right price for him. Very sad to see him go, but we're going to talk now about the deals that we had incoming on deadline day, and okay, now what it allowed us to do was incredible. And let's move on to deadline day now and think, I don't know if I've had many better days as a Forest fan, just sat at a TV watching it. It was incredible, and a lot of it I didn't see coming.
Yeah, so we just to rattle through the names. So we signed Nuno Tavares, left back from Arsenal, Nico Dominguez from Bologna, centre midfield, Callum Hudson-Odoi from Chelsea, winger, Odysseus Vlachodimos, goalkeeper from Benfica, Divock Origi on loan from AC Milan, obviously a striker, Omo Bamidele, who is a centre-back from Norwich, a young Irish player, and Sangare from PSV, who is a central/defensive midfielder.
Wow.
It's a huge day. Part of me is a bit annoyed that we didn't get this kind of work done prior to there already having been kind of 3/4 games played. And I know I always touch on it and say the transfer window should shut before the first game of the season.
I'm not listening to this again.
But yeah, it's wonderful work. It's a shame that they're all internationals and they're all going off for international duty, so they can't blend together over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, it's amazing work. I mean, looking at that list, Tavares, I'm interested to see if he can fulfill his potential. Vlachodimos is going to be good competition for Turner, who I actually think had a great game against Chelsea. Callum Hudson-Odoi is going to be a shoe-in straight up. Divock Origi is a bit more of a kind of a normal striker role that we don't really have. Sangare, to me, the only couple of times I've seen him play recently against Rangers in the Champions League, he looks like a young Patrick Vieira, that kind of player. Which you get Dominguez, I'm not going to lie, I've never seen him play. Same with Omo Bamidele. But yeah, it's a wonderful sign of intent from the owners, from the management, and from everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that list, it was a great day. I went to sleep at 2 a.m. Because I was waiting for Forest to announce the sort of last people left over, because we got to deal sheet time. And it was just exciting. Hudson-Odoi coming in was exciting enough, and there was a lot that came in following him. The fact that we got Hudson-Odoi done for 3 million rising to 5 is elite business. I'm not sure how that has come about, how Chelsea have let him go for so little. I obviously know that he's had a few years where his career's maybe stagnated, but he did well at Leverkusen, and if there's anybody that's going to get the better out of him, it's Steve Cooper. The people that are getting excited about Hudson-Odoi coming in, you don't get him without Steve Cooper, I don't think. And there's a lot of players you don't get without Steve Cooper. So remember that next time you see these Cooper out people, which there still are a few. Just don't understand. Anyway, that's not the point. Everyone else that came alongside him, excited to see. It adds extreme depth and strength and depth, which you say it's a shame that we, didn't get it done sooner. I did think that when I saw the starting lineup against Chelsea.
Yep.
However, we came away from that game with 3 points.
We did the business.
So it didn't harm us, thankfully. Definitely could have done. As you say, it's a shame they're away on international break because it is a good chance for them all to blend together. But it is what it is. But our squad now against Burnley is going to look wildly different to what it's looked like so far. And Steve Cooper was talking about an evolution of formation and style. And I think there's been a lot of criticism of low block football and sitting back and defending and not taking the game to Sheffield United or Burnley at home, which I've been part of those criticisms. I didn't really understand it. I think the people that we've had come in, the personnel are strong and help us have strength and depth. So therefore, we're able to change a few things. And I think having Sangare in that midfield, if he plays as we've seen him play for PSV, is massive. There's a reason he's courted by Bayern Munich and PSG and Liverpool. And the fact that Forest have somehow pried him away from Champions League football shows the pull that Premier League has. Forest really shouldn't be going in for someone like Ibrahim Sangare, never mind getting him. It's incredible.
Not after they just actually qualified for the Champions League as well.
Exactly. It's incredible. It's one that I never saw happening. I appreciated the ambition. I always thought, bloody hell, if we get him in, that's incredible. But I didn't actually see it happening. So to get him over the line, obviously it was dependent on Brennan. It helped soften the blow with Brennan going because you almost thought, fucking hell, that means we can go for Sangare, so go for it. I saw him arrive at City Ground, get out of his car, and even then I thought, this ain't going to happen. So it's just a massively impressive business. I think he's going to help us change shape. I think we're going to play more on the front foot. I think we might go back to 4 at the back and be less sort of cautious. Obviously, we'll see. Steve Cooper's got a master plan, I'm sure. But the business is incredible. And Jacob will rattle through the entire list of incomings in a minute.
Yes.
But what I want to say is, last season when we talked about Steve Cooper being given a difficult task with all these people to bed in and gel together, there is still a lot. There is still a lot to do. So, bear that in mind this season.
Yes, I'm going to rattle through the names. I'm just gonna bring the list up online because I've noticed the list you sent me doesn't include one player already. So, players in, transfers in.
Okay. Whilst you're doing that, I will say, just remember, patience. They will still take a long time to gel because there are still a lot of people. However, when we get them clicking, it's going to be big.
Yep.
Right, go on.
You don't know. Right. So, Chris Wood was confirmed, obviously, from Newcastle. So, I suppose that technically counts this season. But Ola Aina, Anthony Elanga, Matt Turner, Murillo, Nicholas Dominguez, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Odysseus Vlachodimos, Ibrahim Sangare, and Andrew Omobamidele. On loan, we got Gonzalo Montiel, Andre Santos, Nuno Tavares, and Divock Origi. Outgoings, we had Will Swan, Andre Ayew, Cafu, Jack Colback, Jesse Lingard, Jordan Smith, Lyle Taylor, Riley Harbottle, Sam Surridge, Brian Ojeda, Steve Cook, Mohamed Draga, Tyrese Fornar. Shout out to him for scoring an own goal for Derby to lose at the weekend. Top lad. Remo Freuler, Brennan Johnson on loan, Dale Taylor, Finn Back, Aaron Donnelly, Josh Bowler, Richie Larea, Gustavo Scarpa, heartbroken for JJ, Omar Richards, Lewis O'Brien, Loic Mbasso, Jonathan Panzo, and Hwang Yu-Jo.
Wow.
We've done some absolute business. Now, JJ, I'm going to ask you real quick.
Go on.
Give me your rating for this window out of 10, and in 3 words, summarize it.
10.
10.
Can I have forwards?
You can have forwards, yeah.
So it's a 10, and my summary is 20 if Shelby went.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I'll take that. I will give it a 9. The reason it's not a 10 is because I'd like the business to be done earlier. I'm being picky. I just want to give a different answer. I'll use one. You can have one of my words. The words I'll use to describe it are bloody brilliant. I don't think anything else needs to be said about that.
Yeah. I know you asked for a quick summary, but just think about last season. There was a lot of business. It felt, whilst it was essential in the end, it did feel quite manic, less structured. This season, whilst we did get some of it done late, it felt like the right people at the right time. So very careful, considered, and well done business. So kudos. There's been a lot of criticism of Ross Wilson and Marinakis Jr. I think hats off if they are the ones involved. I know Siriannis came in as a recruitment, but hats off to everyone involved in it. We had to be patient, but fucking pulled out of the bag 100%. And also, they cooked. And also, we do tend to throw some criticisms towards the owner now and then. Maybe not the owner, but the ownership team in general. Can't fault them for the commitment and dedication they've shown to the team by investing the money again and pulling out these big names and allowing people like Sangare to come to the City Ground. So, extremely excited to see where this sort of depth of our squad allows us to go. And Jacob, if I had to ask you right now for a revised position which you think Forest will finish this season, what would you say?
11.
11th. I'm going 10. Purely out of the people we've brought in and the fact that we look different already prior to the strength we've brought in. Yes, we might not get there. It's very wishful thinking, but I think it's an exciting time to be a Forest fan, and there's very good reason to be positive right now.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll move on to the Burnley game, which is after the international break. JJ, give me your predicted score.
I think Forest
home against Burnley.
Forest is going to win 3-0. We're going to be on the front foot. I think Cooper's going to take a lot of. He's going to use the Burnley game in the cup as a bit of a pep talk to say we got a kicking for this. We were shit. We've now got these great players and we've changed shape. Let's go at them. This is our home. We can go at people now, and I think we'll go for it. And I think we'll score, which we've done very well this season. We've actually scored in every game. So, 3-0 to Forest.
I'm going to go slightly more cautious. I do think, despite the games they've played already, I think Burnley are a pretty good team. I think they're suffering maybe from trying to overachieve. I think it'll be a tough game. I think it'll be similar to the Blades game at home. I'm going to go 3-2 to Forest.
3-2. Great game.
I think we'll start to see that the evolution of the formation and the players coming in. So yeah, I think if this game was being played after Christmas, I think with the players all blended in, I think I would stick with you and go 3-0. But no, I think 3-2.
Yeah, exciting times regardless. It's just a shame there's an international break now to wait until that. It sort of ruins it a little bit, but excited to see it.
Yep. Right. Well, if you're listening for the first time ever, thank you very much for finding us. We really appreciate it. And if you've come back again and again and again and again and again, we love you. Yates.